Hi, my name is Denise Gammon, and I'm the Education and Outreach Specialist with Central Virginia Waste Management Authority, or CVWMA. I hope that you're enjoying your summer and taking all this time that you have off to dig into some great books. I have a great book for you today. It's called Me, Jane, and it's by Patrick McDonnell. And afterwards, I have a recycle craft for you. So we're gonna make pudding cup monkeys. So stay tuned for the craft, but first, enjoy the book. Me, Jane. Jane had a stuffed toy chimpanzee named Jubilee. She cherished Jubilee and took him everywhere she went, and Jane loved to be outside. She watched birds making their nest, spiders spinning their webs, and squirrels chasing one another up and down trees. Jane learned all that she could about the animals and plants she studied in her backyard and read about in books. And these are Jane Goodall's notes from her notebooks. One day, curious, Jane wondered where eggs came from. So she and Jubilee snuck into Grandma Nut's chicken coop. Hid behind some straw and stayed very still. And observed the miracle. It was a magical world full of joy and wonder, and Jane felt very much a part of it. Jane often climbed her favorite tree, which she named Beech. She would lay her cheek against its trunk and seem to feel the sap flowing beneath the bark. She could feel her own heart beating, beating, beating. With the wind in her hair, she read and reread the books about Tarzan of the Apes, in which another girl, also named Jane, lived in the jungles of Africa. Jane dreamed of a life in Africa too. A life living with and helping all animals. At night, Jane would tuck Jubilee into bed and say her prayers. And fall asleep. To wake up one day to her dream come true. And that is a picture of Jane Goodall when she was working with the chimpanzees in Africa as a younger lady. At the back of the book, you get to find out more about Jane Goodall in this biography, and then also a note from Jane Goodall. At the very back of the book, you learn that the pictures are actually from, many of the pictures in the book are actually from Jane Goodall's own notebooks from when she was younger and when she was traveling through Africa and studying the chimpanzees. So, I hope you enjoyed that book. I surely did. Please stay tuned so that you can make your very own pudding cup or jello cup monkey or chimpanzee. Have a great day, and thank you for joining us. To be a pudding cup monkey. My monkey is still drying, so apologies, but a pudding cup monkey. In order to do this, you will need to call on your paint protocols. So, have some sort of paper to paint on. I, of course, have newspaper here. You will need a pudding or a jello cup. Your first step is eating the pudding or the jello out of the cup. You can have felt. So I have 2 pieces of brown colored felt, but if you have construction paper or if you have any other little scraps, you can color regular paper brown and light brown. to use for the ears and the face. Speaking of the ears and the face, you'll need scissors, paint and paintbrush, and a marker for the eyes. So, of course, your first step is going to be to paint or eat all the stuff out of this and to paint this. I have seen these done with pudding still inside it. So that is an option if you want like a little cute little monkey treat. But if you want to keep it and have it around, you're gonna paint it. So I painted this brown, both the inside and the outside. And then I cut out the ears and the face. And so you're gonna wanna do that. I'll go ahead, cutting out ears. I always start with a square. It's good to know the length of your pudding cup before you cut your ears out, because you want your ears to actually match up where your pudding cup is. So how do you make the ears? Well, the easiest way I have found is to fold this in half and cut what you think is a circle. And you're going to measure that against your pudding cup. Right? Seems like about the right size. I have a little point here because I guess I was going for a heart. And now you're going to cut that in half. Set that to the side. You'll need that in a second. And then you need to cut the inside of your ears, because my monkey ears have little insides to them. And so you're going to do that again. If you measure it against that, you'll know what your inside should look like. Okay. Monkey ears in half. So there you go. Now, when you're doing this with your kids or for your kids, you might want to set all of this up beforehand if they're very little. So while they're painting their pudding cup, you're cutting out the face and the ears. And then you can have them assemble it using glue. And I have a really tacky glue here. So next, you will need the face. And I had to fiddle with my face a little bit. The best way that I can figure out to do that is, again, by folding this in half and kind of thinking of like a butternut squash shape and cutting a circle and then another little circle sitting on top of it, kind of like a cottage loaf, I suppose. And then if you don't like the way it's shaped, just trim the edges. All right, so now you need to grab those brown scraps. And all we're gonna do is, if you have a corner here, cut off the corner, and that way you have a nose. So you can leave it as a triangle if you want to, or shape that nose a little bit. And there you go. So the only thing that's left is to assemble. And so here we go. Oops, well. It's my monkey face. Whenever you're using glue, you may have heard your kids say a thin trail of glue or ... not a lot. I will say with the ears, remember that you have to fold the ears back. And so you're gonna give them a little bit of a space right there, a gap, so that they can be folded up and attached next to the edge of the pudding cup. Okay. You can do whatever you want to. So if you want a monkey in your life, you can put a monkey in you can make a monkey. But if you prefer a lion or a tiger or any of those things, then make that with your little pudding cup. Okay, so these are all assembled. The only other thing you'll need is a tail. And so I'm gonna do mine out of felt. If you have chenilles or pipe cleaners with you at your house, fantastic, you're one step ahead of me. I do not have pipe cleaners here, but I do have felt, and I'm just gonna kind of cut my tail out. I'm gonna do it in this circle. I'm doing it that way so it has a spring. So there you go. All right, so these are all the little bits that are gonna be put on the pudding cup or the jello cup. I'm gonna go make my husband eat this green jello, and we'll be back for the rest. Okay, the green jello has been consumed, the pudding cup has been rinsed, and then I did paint it. So pro tip, you can paint the outside twice, or you can paint the inside and the outside. My only suggestion is that if you paint the inside, remember to flip it upside down so the center can dry. I have brown paint all over my hands because I did one earlier and didn't wait for the center to dry. And so at this point, it's just assembling your monkey face, okay? So you get your good tacky glue. Well, that ear did not want to do what I wanted it to do. Get your good tacky glue. You've given your ears time to dry, and you're going to thin trail of glue here. Stick that on and hold. You do want really good glue for this. I will say that. If you have paper, the paper will bend a little bit easier when you're gluing. I'm gonna push it down like this. Because then you can fold the paper in half and then the ears will stick out. There you go. And so remember, pudding cups, as long as they are clean and not painted and turned into monkeys, can be recycled. So as long as they are clean and dry, don't leave any funky pudding or jello residue in there. You can give them a rinse out in the sink, or you can throw them, unless your water's really, really hot, but you can throw them into the top of your dishwasher if you want to just do it while you're washing dishes. Don't put them in the bottom, they might melt. All right, so thin trail of glue, dot, dot, not a lot. You might have to help with the glue a little bit, but you're probably, depending on the age of your kiddos, gonna have to help with the face, holding the face down. You can use double-sided tape for this if you have it. I don't think Scotch tape would work really well, but double-sided tape, scrapbooking tape would be good. Boop, boop. They also make felt, if you're buying felt, they also make felt with like a sticky back to it. So when you cut it out, you peel this white thing off the back and then you just stick it on the front, which might be more effective for me. I didn't hold that long enough. All right, but anyway, you've got the idea. You can attach the tail at the top. If you have the chenille, you can just poke a hole in the top. I can quickly glue my little tail on. I can do it in the back, but I think I'm gonna make it look like he's hanging upside down. There you go. And there you go. This is our monkey pudding cup, or pudding cup monkey. Or I guess it should be a chimpanzee because Jane Goodall studied chimpanzees. But easy peasy lemon squeezy, your pudding